Yeah, and also like it was different times. I mean, I miss those days when uh, collecting horror films or being in the horror film genre kind of fandom. Um, that it was punk rock. It was a little bit forbidden. Like Jörg Buttgereit, the second part of Necromantic 2,
Right.
it was like banned, and they took
Cops.
the copies out
Cops.
of the cinema. Cops
Yeah.
came and took them. And there
Yeah.
was another German filmmaker. His name is Olaf Ittenbach. He also got banned for his second film, and then it was like if he's ever doing a movie again that will be against the law because of brutality or violence, he will go to jail. So the whole horror community, like they just supported and collected money for supporting his next film project, so he can continuing, and it was
Wow.
like crazy. And then you had like you had magazines where you had there's a lot of films in Germany, and the releases that we in Austria here could watch were the releases from Germany. So in Germany, they had a really strict law when it came to violence
Video
and
nasties.
brutality. Exactly. And they cut out scenes. So you
Right.
get like a copy, and there was like a couple of minutes missing. Like all the violent stuff was cut out very, like, really badly. Just like sometimes you
Terrible.
didn't even get the whole thing then what was going on there, because it was just a cut and then black and then the movie continued. So
Yeah.
you had magazines that has the so-called Schnittberichte, which means a report of the cuts that was made. So you could read, okay, and now the head explodes at 3 minutes and 25 seconds or something like this, head
Wow.
exploding scene. So then you could like get the film from Holland or England in an uncut version, and then you had the magazine. Oh yeah, it's completely. I have everything. So that was like my days when I started collecting. So it was really like you bought a film from someone. There was no internet. You bought one from a catalog that you got
Right.
with a horror magazine, and then you waited for half a year, and you paid like 150 euros for a copy of Dawn of the Dead, and you waited half a year to get it, and then it was like, I have it now, and I was the only one in like the next 150 kilometers who had that tape. That was the time. Now it's kind of boring. Now you just put on the internet, you can watch everything.
Right.
But when I started, it was really like this was a subculture, and it was a community that was really like, I don't know,
You
somehow
know,
under the radar of society. Like there was a code where people could understand each other when you had like those magazines and the T-shirt and stuff. Then you knew, okay, this is a cool guy, and I can talk to him and
Crimson
ask
Ghost,
him for
man.
advice. Exactly, it was a
Yeah.
real community,
Yeah.
and it also when you have been waiting for months and months for a copy of a film, it doesn't matter how bad it was. You had to love it because you spent so much money on this one. Now it has
Right.
to be good, even if it was terrible. But you could never admit it because now you've been waiting 4 months for this film, like Man-Eater, Joe D'Amato, or something like this. It has to be good.
Well, it's going, but you're saying it has to be good, but it's what you really mean to say, I think, is that it's going to be good because of all the
Yeah,
factors that you just said. It's going to be good. And
exactly.
also, the other thought I had when you were saying all that is, man, it makes you appreciate, like, think about how much more you appreciated those VHS tapes because of
Yeah,
all the trouble that went, the money spent, the time waited, and then that tape arrives and it's like a precious elixir and you're gonna enjoy
exactly.
every frame.
And it was also the thrill if it's gonna get caught at the border. Because if they open it and it's a tape that is not allowed to have, like there is a list of forbidden films, then
Right.
they would not. Then they would keep it. You will not get it. Then your money is gone and you will not get a tape.
Did that
So
ever
it was
happen to you?
always like, no, thank God not. But I
Wow.
know people that, especially in Germany, they and in those horror film magazines that I used to read, we had like, it was never as big as Fangoria or something like this, but you had like some horror film magazines like the Gory News or the Art of Horror and Splatting Image, and there was always the recommendations to the fans: keep your collection not in your home. If the police is coming and checking the collection, they will take all the forbidden stuff, and probably you have to pay some penalty for that too. So
I mean,
the real collectors had their own storage space somewhere where they had their VHS tapes, so the police will not find them.
you know what's so crazy about like that? Wow, first of all, thank you for sharing that, because that's just like it's so cool. This is something that's so foreign to me, because we just never had that problem in the United States on that level. I'd always heard that the German version, whenever you're reading on IMDb and it's talking about like the different versions, and it talks about how in Germany it's just like, everything is so it's like you look at the total running time, and it's like everywhere else 100 minutes, 100 minutes, 100 minutes. Germany 82 minutes.
Exactly. Yeah.
They just cut everything out of it, man.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. And you know what it makes me wonder? So these serious collections, it's like I would imagine too that you're like even dubbing tapes, like that tape that comes, that's your master. I better dub that mother effer. It's going to go in the storage, and then this is the tape I'm going to watch. And if anything happens to it, because what's interesting too, that predicates what you're saying. Would this be the case if in today's age with the internet? No, this sort of subculture pops up because of VHS. Here's a question for you, Richy. Here's a question for you. Would you have the same sort of subculture? Would you have the same sort of situation if it was on a DVD as opposed to a VHS? Does VHS make it? Maybe not, actually. I guess it has to go through the exact same avenues. You have to ship the physical media somewhere.
I have to say, I really appreciate when DVD came out, because now you had the original language as well.
Right,
because here everything is dubbed, sometimes really badly, especially in the 80s. They did not. Nowadays they made it really good, but in the 80s, some of the films, they really had like a terrible German dubbing over it. So it's like so some of the films, they look way more trashy and they sound way more trashy than they actually are, just because of the bad synchronization what they made in Germany. So like, and DVDs, when they came out, then you had like, you could switch. You can have the original language or the dubbed version. So that was a big change.
For me, we got, so you were talking about how you own, I forgot what it was. Oh, you own Dawn of the Dead. You own something on every format. For me, it was Mad Max. I had Mad Max on VHS. I bought it again on DVD. I had it on, I own it on Blu-ray 3 different ways. But for me, my comfort food is the US, the American dub of the Australian accents in Mad Max. There's something about the dubbed American, they talk like this. I don't know what it is.
Okay. I did not know they did it. They dubbed it in America.
So here's the interesting thing. When they were preparing Mad Max for international release, which, as you know, anybody who's not familiar, Mad Max made, George Miller never had to work again after he made just Mad Max. He's had a long film career. He owned Mad Max. He made $100 million off of a $300,000 budget with Mad Max. And when they were preparing it, when Warner Brothers was shipping it all over the place, they were afraid that the American market would make fun of the Australian accents. So what they did was they actually dubbed English over English simply because of the accent, which frustrated and made so many people mad. But for me, growing up, Mad Max, I love Star Wars, but Mad Max was also my Star Wars. Like that's why I wear my leather jacket, is because of Mad Max, not the Ramones. And so, my exposure was, that accent that's like this, that dubbed, that, probably some cigar chumping guy who's sitting in a recording studio is like, all right, what's the script? All right, let's go. Just
awesome.
It's awesome, dude.
You have here, like, because the Germans and the Austrians are so used to the dubbed versions, that if they produce a film in their own country, like a German comedy film or action film, they dub it just because for the sound.
Really?
Yeah, because we're so used to have like a studio dubbing that with like a proper production in a studio. and not the actual sound from the set, like the background noise and everything. So they dub also their own productions to make it sound like American films.
That's so weird. You know what's interesting that you say that? Do you know who else does that too, kinda, or what they do? In Italy. Italy, they don't, you know, I forgot who was talking about it. It was somebody who was saying that, you know, they arrived on set on an Italian set and everybody's talking while they're doing their dialogue. They're like, what and you know, the whole thing was, oh, this whole soundtrack is going to be redone in post-production. They don't even bother. Which,
and, you know, what is also hilarious, because some of the actors who are doing the voices for like famous actors, they are also kind of famous for their voice here now.
Oh, really?
So for the voice, the German voice of Bruce Willis is also doing commercials for a lot of stuff here, for example. And then some of those actors, they do they do the voices for the same actors. Like the person who's doing the voice for Bruce Willis is the same guy who's doing the voice for Mel Gibson. And then
that's confusing.
And the same guy, but the problem starts when you have the same actors in the film, and then you have, oh, what are we gonna do now? And it was like the film. It's not a good film, but it was Escape Plan with Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger. They have the same.
So much. I love that move. That was so much fun. It's fun.
they had the problem that they have the same. I think it was Escape Plan, right? I think there was those two guys. I think it was the same person who's doing the voice for Sylvester Stallone is the same person who's doing for Arnold Schwarzenegger. So it's like, okay. And when it also happened in Die Hard 3, I think they changed the actor, the voice, so the film was not very appreciated over here because of it's not Bruce Willis' voice. Someone else is speaking, so it's not the same guy. It's not the same guy anymore. So it's really fucked up. Yeah.
That's hilarious. You know, I think Escape Plan is where they're both escaping from a maximum lockup facility or whatever. And, you know, I don't know. I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for Stallone. I'm a sucker for Schwarzenegger. And most of all, I'm a sucker for Nicolas Cage, who everybody laughs at, but I think is a really, really good actor, even in all the crap that he does.
Yeah.
And I love all those movies, man. I just dig them. All those 90s action films, you know, great. Just can't go wrong with them, you know. So yeah. But listen, I think we're gonna wrap it up. I'm getting the high sign from the wife over here. Dude, this was such a treat. This was so fun for me. Thank you for coordinating and doing this. Truly.
Thank you for having me.